Ethan was only a few steps from safety when something sharp and cold clamped around his ankle. 1 second he was running, and the next he was pulled to the ground so hard the breath flew from his lungs. His palms scraped the concrete, and his phone skidded across the pavement like a loose coin. For a moment he lay stunned, the world spinning as the echo of the bell vibrated in his bones. Jake and Lily shouted his name, but their voices felt far away, trapped behind the thick, unnatural air that seemed to settle around him. When Ethan looked back, expecting to see a hand or a shadow gripping his leg, he saw nothing. Nothing except his own shadow, stretched too long along the ground. It wasn't a normal shadow. Inside its dark shape, other outlines wriggled and shifted, extra arms, extra legs, and extra heads pressing against the edges like they were trapped inside it with him. Ethan felt invisible fingers squeezing his ankle, tightening even though he couldn't see them. The shadows in the street drifted a step closer, and the air shimmered as if reality itself was bending. The town wasn't just watching him now. It was holding him. Jake didn't hesitate. He skidded to a stop beside Ethan and stomped hard on the ground where the invisible grip seemed strongest. The pressure vanished instantly, like a hand snatching itself away in surprise. Ethan gasped and rolled onto his knees, heart hammering. Jake grabbed him under the arm and pulled him up with all the strength he could manage. The fear in Jake's eyes said he'd seen something too, maybe not the twisted shapes in Ethan's shadow, but something close enough to make him pale. The two boys didn't waste a second. They sprinted back to the truck, scrambling inside and slamming the door behind them. Their dad hit the lock button, but before he could speak, the locks clicked down on their own, sealing the doors with a firm, final sound. Outside, the shadows had stopped moving, watching silently from the open street. Inside the truck, the air felt tight, as though the town itself had wrapped both hands around the vehicle. The bell rang again, and the windows trembled. Lily whispered that they needed to get out. Their dad agreed, but the town had other plans. Their dad slammed his foot on the gas pedal. The truck roared forward, tires squealing against the cracked pavement. It surged toward the edge of town, straight toward the fog wall they had passed through before. Ethan braced himself as the front bumper sliced into the mist. The fog swallowed them whole, cold and dense like they had driven into a cloud that refused to let them through. Everything outside the glass disappeared, the trees, the street, even the hood of the truck. They were driving blind. But then, without warning, the fog peeled away like a curtain. The truck burst into daylight again. Only the world outside wasn't the road home. It was the same place they had just tried to escape, the center of gray water. Main Street stretched before them exactly as it had minutes before, like the town had looped the road back on itself. Lily choked on a breath. Jake whispered that it wasn't possible. Ethan felt his stomach drop. The fog hadn't been a path out. It had been a trap. Their dad tried again, spinning the wheel and steering the truck back the other way. This time he accelerated even harder, as if speed alone could break the strange cycle. The truck shot forward, rattling as it hit broken pieces of pavement. Fog rose ahead again, thick and unmoving. They plunged into it, swallowed for the second time. For a moment, everything outside the windows was white, like the world had been erased. And then, just like before, the fog spat them out into the exact same place. The same buildings, the same street, the same empty town square waiting for them. Jake whispered that they had gone straight. The road had been straight. There had been no turns, no tricks. So why were they back where they started? Lily covered her ears, insisting they should never have come. Something about the open spaces between the buildings looked hungry now, as if the town was closing in around the edges. The truck rolled to a shaky stop. Gray water wasn't letting them leave, not yet. Inside the truck, everything went still. The engine idled softly, a lonely sound swallowed by the heavy silence outside. Their dad's hands tightened on the steering wheel. His chest rose and fell with slow, controlled breaths, as if he'd been waiting for this, or fearing it, for a very long time. Ethan watched his father's face, noticing the way the man's eyes fixed on the church tower with something like memory instead of surprise. Finally, their dad turned to them with a tired look, the kind that said he had been holding something inside for years. He admitted that the town wasn't new to him. He had lived here once, a long time ago. Back when it still had people. Back when it wasn't erased. Ethan felt his world tilt sideways. Lily blinked in confusion. Jake leaned forward, camera forgotten in his lap. Their dad said the name of the town out loud, Greywater, and his voice trembled like someone returning to a place they promised they'd never see again. The pieces began to fit, and none of them liked the picture they formed. The church stood open, the door resting in a slanted frame, as if it had been waiting for them the whole time. Inside, the air was cool and hollow, echoing faintly with their footsteps. Light filtered in through fractured stained glass windows, painting pale shapes across the dusty floor. At the back of the room, crooked picture frames hung on a display labeled Greywater Remembers, though time had nearly made the words disappear. As the family approached, the images in the frames came into focus: portraits of families, school groups, children in costumes, and black and white photos of people long gone. Each frame held a face belonging to someone who had lived, laughed, and walked in this town before everything changed. Ethan felt a strange sadness wash over him, as if the place itself was begging them to see, to understand that it hadn't always been empty. The church wasn't just a building. It was a memory the town refused to lose. Their dad sat in the first pew, elbows resting on his knees, eyes locked on a photo of a young girl with curly hair, his sister, Sarah. His voice cracked as he began to explain what had happened all those years ago. Greywater hadn't always been a ghost town. It had once been alive, filled with families and traditions and normal, everyday moments. But then strange things began happening. People heard whispers when no one was there. They saw loved ones on the street who had been gone for years. Doors opened by themselves. The church bell rang on nights it shouldn't. The night the bell rang 20 times, everything changed. Their dad described how shadows moved through the town like smoke come alive. People vanished in the blink of an eye. Houses were found empty the next morning with meals still sitting on tables. Entire families disappeared. He told them how he had been holding Sarah's hand when the bell tolled that final time, and how she let go for just 1 second. When he looked again, she was gone. No one ever found her. The town was evacuated and erased from maps, as if forgetting it would make everything normal again. But nothing forgotten stays gone forever. Lily listened, quiet and trembling, before speaking in a soft voice that didn't sound like her own. She said the town felt full of memories, too full. Like the footprints of everyone who lived there had sunk so deep into the ground that they couldn't be washed away. Maybe Greywater hadn't been trying to hurt them. Maybe it had held on because it didn't want to be forgotten. Maybe it was scared to let go. Ethan turned that idea over in his mind. It changed the way he looked at the old photos, at the dusty pews, at the heavy silence in the air. Greywater didn't feel angry. It felt lonely, like a place trapped between existing and disappearing. A place desperate for someone to remember the people who had lived their lives here. If nobody remembered, then the town truly would vanish, and take all its stories with it. Maybe the shadows weren't chasing them out. Maybe they were calling them closer. With new understanding, the family gathered around the wall of photos. Their dad lifted one frame after another, reading the names of the people who had once filled Greywater with life. Thomas Avery, Maria Lopez, James Brown. The names echoed around the church like soft, peaceful bells. Ethan read from another frame. Lily did too, her voice steadying as she spoke the words aloud. Each name seemed to clear a little of the heavy air, like dust being blown away. Jake filmed quietly, not for a school project now, but because the moment felt important. It felt like they were helping the town breathe again after years of being buried under silence. Each name they said was a small promise that Greywater was not forgotten. The shadows hadn't returned. The air didn't vibrate. Everything felt still, not the heavy, suffocating stillness of before, but something calmer. Something like the first gentle gust before a storm breaks. Just when the final name was spoken, something in the church shifted. Above them, the thick bell rope swayed on its own, swinging gently as if moved by invisible hands. Dust drifted down from the ceiling in lazy spirals. Lily gasped. Jake lifted his camera again, capturing the rope's slow, rhythmic movement. It didn't feel threatening. For the first time since entering Greywater, The motion felt like an invitation rather than a warning. The rope's gentle swing looked like a signal waiting for someone to respond. Like the town was asking for one last thing before letting go. Ethan and Lily watched their dad step forward, placing his hand on the rope. Whatever happened next felt like the turning point, like the difference between being trapped or being released. Their dad pulled the rope, and the bell rang through the church. But it didn't ring the way it had outside. It didn't roar or tremble or shake the ground beneath them. It sounded clear and deep, a peaceful note that filled the room without fear. The ringing passed gently through the walls, down the street, brushing past the broken windows like a soft wave. He pulled the rope again. 10, 11, 12. Ethan held his breath as the bell rang the 12th time, bracing for the dreaded 13th toll. But the rope went still, ending perfectly at 12, exactly where a normal clock would stop. For a long moment, the silence after the final note felt like a held breath finally released. No footsteps echoed. No shadows crept. No bell followed. Something in the town had changed. Something had ended. When Ethan stepped to the church door and pushed it open, the entire town looked different. The sky wasn't bright, but the heavy, choking gray had lifted slightly. A thin breeze rustled loose pages lying on the ground. The air felt lighter, not cheerful, but no longer suffocating. For the first time since they arrived, the town didn't feel like it was closing in. It felt like it was letting them go. Somewhere in the distance, a bird sang a single note. It was a small sound, but in a place that had been silent for so long, it felt huge. Ethan lifted his phone. The signal bars slowly blinked back to life at the top of the screen. The GPS found its bearings and, after a second of searching, displayed a name that had been missing for decades: Graywater, Ohio. Beneath it, a new line appeared: historical site, population, 0. The town was on the map again, but no longer demanding anyone's memory. It had found peace. They walked back to the truck with slow, careful steps, as if worried they might disturb the fragile calm. Ethan filmed the street, capturing the diner, the church, and the playground as they looked now, still broken, still eerie, but no longer shifting with unseen movement. It felt like walking through a place that had finally been heard and was ready to rest. When they drove down Main Street, the spray-painted metal sign came into view again. But now, the black paint was peeling, revealing letters underneath: Graywater Town Limit. The name had returned, even if only faintly. It was the town's quiet way of saying goodbye. They reached the edge of the fog barrier once more. It wasn't as thick this time, more like mist rising from morning grass. Their dad pressed the gas, and the truck rolled forward into it. The fog wrapped around the truck like a cool blanket, soft and thin instead of blinding. Ethan squeezed Lily's hand and counted silently. 1, 2, 3. Before he could reach 4, the fog melted away around them. The road stretched ahead, clear, straight, and normal. The trees didn't lean inward. The sky looked like the sky again. In the rearview mirror, there was no fog left at all. No town. Just fields and forest, as if Graywater had been a dream. Inside the truck, no one spoke for a long time. It was as if they were afraid that talking might pull the fog back or unravel whatever miracle had let them go. Ethan finally checked his phone. A new message blinked on the screen from an unknown sender, no number attached. 4 simple words stood there. "Thank you for remembering US." Ethan swallowed hard and typed back, "We won't forget." The message marked as delivered and then vanished. He felt something soften in his chest, like a weight had been replaced with quiet understanding. They continued driving, deeper into the normal world. The old gas station appeared ahead, the same peeling sign and tilted pumps standing like quiet sentries at the edge of nowhere. The old man was still sitting in his wooden chair out front, like time hadn't touched him at all. As the truck passed, the man lifted 2 fingers to his cap in a small salute, acknowledging their journey with a subtle nod. Then, with one smooth motion, he pointed his thumb toward the empty space on the map behind them and drew a line through the air, as if closing a door. Ethan didn't ask his dad to stop. He didn't need to. The man already understood. They had done what the town needed. The rest was no longer theirs to carry. The truck rolled past, and the gas station faded into the distance. Hours later, after the sky had changed from pale afternoon to deepening dusk, They pulled into their driveway. Their house looked completely ordinary, glowing softly under the porch light, welcoming them home as if the day had never happened. Their mom hugged all three kids tightly, laughing that they smelled like old dust. She asked how the adventure went, but Ethan only murmured that it was long and that they would explain later. At the dinner table, the house felt bright and safe. They ate pizza while the TV buzzed in the other room, playing a harmless commercial. The fridge hummed. Lily doodled quietly in her notebook. For the first time in hours, everything felt normal again. But Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that gray water had left something behind, something small, like a quiet echo hiding in the corners of his thoughts. When Jake left to go home, and Lily fell asleep with her drawings beside her, the house grew quieter, and that faint echo felt louder. Later that night, Ethan sat at his desk, his phone connected to his laptop as he reviewed all the videos they had recorded. Some clips were ordinary, shots of buildings, moments of his dad talking, the empty streets stretching ahead. But others held strange glitches, shadows where no one stood, reflections of faces he didn't remember seeing, moments that flickered as if the camera had captured things from two different times at once. He created two folders. One labeled History Project for the safe clips, and the other labeled Do Not Share for everything too strange, too personal, or too dangerous to show anyone else. He knew the town deserved to be remembered, but not in a way that would draw people into danger. Not in a way that could bring the shadows back. Then he noticed a final file, the autosave video from when his phone buzzed in the diner. The thumbnail was still completely black. For a long time, Ethan just stared at it, unsure whether he wanted to know what was inside. Eventually, curiosity won. He clicked the file. At first, the screen stayed black. No sound, no movement. Slowly, like something rising from deep water, an image formed. It was gray water, but not the empty, broken version they had walked through. It was alive. The diner neon glowed bright. Kids rode bikes down the street. People chatted by the grocery store. The church bell tower stood straight and proud under a sunny sky. Ethan watched joyfully confused as he recognized his father as a boy, running across the street with a girl, Sarah, close behind. Then the video flickered. The brightness dimmed. The people thinned out. Shadows crept along the edges. The bell rang. 13, 14, 15. The image cracked like shattered glass. Sarah's small hand slipped away from the boys. Then darkness swallowed the scene whole. Ethan's heart ached as he watched a moment from the past that no one else had been able to see in decades. Just when Ethan thought the video had ended, a new image replaced the darkness. It wasn't the town anymore. It was his own street, his own home, filmed at night. The camera angle was low and shaky, like someone standing in the middle of the road, slowly turning their head. The houses looked normal at first, quiet and familiar under the glow of streetlights. But the sky above them was wrong. It was the same heavy gray sky from gray water. The same low, oppressive clouds that pressed down on the empty buildings. A faint bell tolled in the background, even though there was no church anywhere near their neighborhood. The camera turned again, revealing the street sign at the corner. Only the letters didn't spell their real town's name. They spelled, "Welcome to Greywater." The message was clear. The town wasn't just gone. It had followed them. Ethan yanked off his headphones and spun toward his window. Outside, everything looked normal. No gray sky. No fog. No strange shadows. Just the quiet streets settling into nighttime. He let out a shaky laugh, telling himself it was just a leftover glitch in the video. A ghost from the past. But then he noticed something that made the air catch in his lungs. His bedroom door, which he was sure he had left half open, was now standing wide open. So was his closet door. So was the bathroom door across the hall. Every door he could see was open at the same angle, just like the doors in gray water when the shadows stepped out. He sat frozen, unable to breathe, staring at the dark hallway beyond his room. A soft hum drifted through the house as the TV in the living room turned on by itself. Ethan heard the faint click of the power button and the low buzz of the screen warming up. He didn't need to see it to know it was glowing in the dark. The house, which had felt warm and safe just an hour ago, now felt hollow. Echoing. Listening. Then the bell began again. Not through the walls. Not through the air. But inside his head, the same way it had rung inside gray water. 13. 14. 15. He felt each toll crawl down his spine like cold fingers. His phone buzzed on his desk, flashing a new message from an unknown sender. One line glowed on the screen, "No location found. Welcome back." He didn't move. Couldn't. His eyes locked on the hallway just beyond his bedroom door. A shape slowly stretched across the floor, long, thin, and wrong. It wasn't coming from any real person or object. It was a shadow without a body, reaching toward him like a hand. The air chilled, and the faint hum of the TV seemed to sync with his pounding heartbeat. The shadow stopped right at the threshold of his room, as if waiting for him to step closer. Ethan realized then that gray water wasn't a place on a map. It wasn't a town trapped in the past. It was a memory, and memories had a way of following people who tried to forget them. He stared at that long, reaching shadow and understood a truth deeper than anything he had learned in school. Some towns don't disappear. They simply move. They go where the people who remember them go. The bell tolled again, softer now but unmistakable. Ethan swallowed, his breath shaky, his eyes fixed on the shadow creeping across the hallway. The sound seemed to echo from both outside and inside the room at the same time. The open doors around him felt like invitations, gateways into something unseen. The house was no longer just a house. It had become an echo chamber for a town that refused to let its stories die. Ethan didn't know what the town wanted next. He didn't know if it wanted help, company, or something darker. But he did understand that everything gray water had shown him, everything the town had tried to make him understand, wasn't over. Not yet. The final message on his phone still glowed softly, like a whisper written in light. "Welcome back." As Ethan sat frozen, the shadow at the end of the hallway slowly extended further, inching toward his bedroom like a long, searching finger. It didn't move like a normal shadow. It flowed, stretching as if pulled by a force deeper than light or logic. Ethan felt the air shift around him, heavy and familiar, the same thick, cold pressure he had felt inside the diner. He didn't know if the town wanted him to run, to hide, or to follow. All he knew was that gray water wasn't finished with him. Not completely. The memory of the town, the people who once lived there, and the shadows that had followed them home were all waiting, just beyond the doorway. As the shadow reached the edge of his bedroom floor, Ethan realized that leaving gray water hadn't been the end of the story. It was only the beginning.